Okay, so here's a quick explanation of how to convert fractions and decimals. So we're going to start off by explaining place value. So the red 3, is in the hundreds column and it is worth 300. The blue 6 is in the tens column and is worth 60. The green 5 is in the units column, or the ones column, and it's worth 5. Now, most people will call this next column the tenths column. T-E-N-T-H-S, tenths. But they won't always make the connection to fractions. They will think the tenths column, that's for the first decimal place, and that's true. But tenths is 1 over 10. Which means that 0.7 is the same as 7 tenths, or as a fraction, 7 over 10. Similarly, the yellow 8 is in the hundredths column, and most people will think the hundredths column, that's the second decimal place, and that's right, but they won't make the connection between the word hundredths and the fraction 1 over 100, which is hundredths. So 0.08 is worth 8 hundredths. And the brown 9 is in the thousandths column. And similarly, as well as just the word and the decimal place, it's got a connected fraction. 9 over 1000 is its value because it's in the thousandths column. So let's have a look at converting a couple of these. So 0.71. Now, you might know the answer, but let's talk about why. Let's get a good understanding so that we can apply it to different things. So 0.71, so it is nothing in the ones column. It uses the tenths column and the hundredths column. Now, we can't put it all over tenths because the 1 doesn't fit. But what we can do is put it all over hundredths. That is the same as 71 hundredths, or 71 over 100. Whichever the furthest along place value is, you put the entire number over that. So 0.71, 71 over 100, because it uses the hundredths column. Now this 0.4, it only uses the tenths column. So we're not going to put it over hundredths, over 100. We're going to put it over 10. We're going to change that to 4 over 10. But it's also important to realize that 4 over 10 can simplify. The simplest terms are 2 over 5. Divide the top by 2, divide the bottom by 2. Divide the numerator, divide the denominator. So it gets down to 2 over 5, which is the simplest term. So 0.4 is a decimal. It is equivalent to 4 tenths, but its simplest form is 2 over 5, 2/5. 7 over 10. So that is 7 in the tenths column. And so that changes to 0.7. Now 3 over 20. Now there is no 20th place value column. We've got tenths, we've got hundredths, we've got thousandths. There's no 20ths. We can't change it to 0.3. We can't change it to 3.20. We can't do any of these things. We've got to convert this fraction so that it is a fraction that's over either 10, 100, or 1,000. Now we can't convert it into something over 10 because that would require halving the 20, and we can't halve the 3 and get a whole number. But what we can do is we can build it up to over 100. So if we multiply the 20 by 5, it becomes 100. If we do the same thing to the 3, we get 15 over 100. That's an equivalent fraction. Multiply the numerator by 5, multiply the denominator by 5. And now, because it's in the hundredths column, we can say that it's 0.15. Once you get it to either over 10, over 100, over 1,000, the numerator becomes your decimal. But that only works if you've got it over 10 or 100 or 1,000. Okay, so hopefully that helps. And if you've got any questions, just ask.